Hey, I'm shaking. Hi. Galactic family, happy new moon. Nice to see you. I want to share with you about last night's powerful new moon gathering that I guided here in my apartment in Miami Beach. Sweaty, sticky, hot. It's awesome. It's very wet, yeah. Cancer is about water. And there were 6 of us last night. And 6 is the number of petals on the second chakra, which correlates with water. So I found it very appropriate. And at the same time, it was very symbolic for a lot of reasons. Water represents our emotional state, yeah. There is the idea that water is also a reflection, yeah, and also water is that element of receiving and being in receiving. So there's a bit of a slowdown when it gets really hot and saturated. The air is so wet here; it's very heavy. And you can correlate that to just feeling kind of stuck, yeah, and moving that energy. And the problem with moving the energy right now, well, the obstacle to moving the energy right now is the Mercury retrograde, right, which we'll go into a little bit later, but always makes things appear a little bit slower than they actually are. And also there's a few planets causing some tension in a square position, and that with the retrograde is making us feel indecisive, not sure about things, not being able to really sign your name on any dotted lines. So it is a place where we have to actually listen. And that's one of the ideas of the Mercury retrograde, is to be listening. So the water reflects the moon. The moon is the planet of Cancer, and also represents our feelings. So if we combine this water, the moon energy, and the darkness, and how the moon also always has a dark side. There's that shadow, the shape-shifting energy of the moon, how the moon is always changing the faces, but the face is always the same. So we are constantly learning about ourselves, and the question is, you know, how much of a sense of humor do you have about that? You know, I've been walking around saying I am ambitious about improving myself, and this seems to be working on some level because I am often working in the unfamiliar. So this shadow, this water, you know, the deeper you go, the more unfamiliar it is. And our poor little brains are always looking for the familiar. We are working against a very large percentage of the brain looking for the familiar and accessing the familiar as often as possible. So there's a very small segment of you which is maybe daring, maybe not, I don't know. It may, you know, it's shifting, it's changing, it has a different viewpoint every day. That's the energy of the moon, right? But we have to tap into the unfamiliar all the time. The idea is it's where you are allowed to be your most creative. And the water element, the light, the shadow, this idea of filling your well with your own adequacy. You've been working so long now. You've got so many tools. You've got so much awesomeness. You're just, I hardly recognize you. You're so shiny. I gotta wear sunglasses. Before there was any time, any man-made time, right? What was happening before that? you were in your flow, and you are in your flow. I think the 5, 6, 7, it isn't really making any sense anymore. I don't know. I think at one point the two people wanted to get together, right? And and they said when, where. So someone had to decide where, and someone had to decide when. So they had to point at the sky and say, well, maybe when the sun is there. and that's how we came up with the number 12 or noon or whatever. But the water leads me to this place of evolution where the water is always flowing, but it's moving into different forms, right? It is steam. It is ice. It is the water itself. It's taking on all these forms. This is also a shape-shifting. So if you think of it, there is this tension that is required to hold opposites in balance, yeah? And also our moment of choosing to not be in a familiar place, honoring our feelings and the most intimate parts of ourself. Bring your headlamp, because you're gonna be in there. I mean, what's left? Nothing. The openness, the field where the invention is taking place. So you have to trick your brain just a little bit. And at the same time, there is a reasonable amount of acceptance going on a continuous level. So there is now a certain humor. You're giving a certain breath to it. I grew up with this very strange programming how one is not supposed to be full of oneself. Because in its exaggerated form, it's conceited, right? It's but in its balanced form, what is it? It's being full in oneself. It's being whole. It's being anchored in your heart, which is your home, which is what I was talking about. Cancer, ancestors, home, heart. It's all there, yeah? And the only thing I can tell you is that this Mercury retrograde is a blessing because it's in Leo. And I know, you're like, fuck Leo, but Leos, my moon is in Leo. My friends, my moon, my inner reflective self is becoming now more loyal to who I am. More loyal to my expression. Sorry, it's very overwhelming. Okay, so Leo, the self-expression, not being afraid to honor yourself, to honor others, that your security, your anchor is so grounded that you are able to inspire others without worrying about what's going to happen to it, yeah? About worrying about the how of things, because there is this resonance that Leos carry. They're a fixed energy, and for us to be able to slow down and look at that part of ourselves, the dignified self-expression, hello, I think it's a really big opportunity now. And also a little homework, okay? This is going to be really great. Every month I like to throw words out of my vocabulary, or at least retire them to a position where they have to be very carefully selected in use. So this month my words are always and never, to be used very seldomly because they are general, they are not true majority of the time, and they're just bullshit, really. So I'm not interested in holding those words in my vibration anymore. The other word I would like to offer you, and I said it earlier and it's still running in my mind because it jumps out before you even, like, even if you have the new word to replace it with, it still jumps out. It's just so anxious, and that word is sorry. And You know, sorry just has this way of pervading, and a friend of mine named Justin, who has one of the best mustaches in the entire world, so awesome, this person, has thought about, you know, what is that sorry vibration holding in me? And do I really want to carry that around? No. So now when he bumps into someone, he says, surprise! I love it. So, I'm just thinking about it because I've tried it, and the look on people's faces is just, it's priceless. So you don't have to use surprise, but I like to use, you know, pardon me, perdón, or excuse me. I mean, these are all more appropriate, and getting yourself to think about the placement and the semantics of your words. And there was also a suggestion to remove the personal out of some of the things that you say, the I, the you, the me, and turning it into something less personal. And the idea that the personal is a little bit, it is overused, and it's used for people that we are not familiar with. So there is another way of speaking. You know, for example, if I go into a store and I'm looking for a particular item, I don't say, do you have this? Because if you don't have it, then I can blame you. And it's an accusatory thing, and it's not allowing people to take responsibility. So the idea is to go on and to go in and say, you know, is the store carrying this item, or I am looking for this item. Something like this, yeah? So always, never, sorry, and the I, me, you. All right. I have a mantra for you. It is for the second chakra. It is Tantric Kundalini from the Sri Vidya lineage. And again, you can go back to that lotus with the 6 petals. And when you say the mantra, you imagine each petal vibrating and holding that space. Remember that the second chakra is your creativity, it's your sexual energy. And you know, I don't have to tell you that the ancestors of us who were us have misrecorded, have morphed and molded that thing into something different. They, for some reason, deliberately kept information from us to tap into our own power. And the second chakra, the sexual energy, is the most powerful. We know that on some level, but because it's so warped and what is happening today, and we have to start somewhere. We have to start by being able to balance this chakra and being able to express ourselves in a more direct, open, compassionate, present, right? Super present, being in that 0 point field. Yeah? What is the 0 point field? It is the vibration of the electromagnetic fields of the planet. It is the manifesting energy vibration. It is the moment where, for example, I'm an artist, you are an artist, I have a canvas and it's got nothing on it, and I start drawing and creating, and then there's something on it. It's that moment where the invisible becomes visible. It is the intangible becoming tangible. Right? Spirit, matter. Because there's always going to be, I don't know, there might always be duality. But, for example, if I say that I can be seeing both sides at the same time and not being partial to any one side, that I can be in this 0 point field of trust and openness and creating and cultivating my self and sharing what I do with people in an authentic way that's not doing harm to other people. And the things that are blocking that, the things that are obstacles to that, and what do I do about that? I do as much as possible, and I do my best. That's all I can do. And along the way, I pick up all these ideas. And one of the ideas is to laugh at it. Yeah? Is to is to face it head on with laughter, because if it's coming from somewhere and it's going to embed itself in one of the layers of me, and if the same nerve ending, which is true, the same nerve ending is pain and tickle. It is the same nerve ending. So you can say that pain and pleasure are the same thing, right? They are the duality, but if you can see both as the same, if you can be in the duality oneness place, then for you it is unity. And this is what the unity consciousness is, what people are talking about. It's being able to stand in the center, seeing all the sides, having some idea, but not being attached to any of those ideas, being able to be open enough to honor the feelings, honoring the judgments, being able to set those aside, being observer and participant. They are the same thing. And the Mercury retrograde, yeah, allowing us to slow down, to pause, to be in that second chakra. Yeah, the mantra, Om Sam Sam, 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 Om Sam Sam. You know, you can do it for 108. You can do it all day. You can just be with your energy of the womb. The womb is creating. So I know the ancestors were afraid to show you this power. The power is there. You have the tools, right? You are refining. You are moving into this waxing moon period, which is coming up to full moon Aquarius in a couple of weeks. And let me tell you, my friends, Aquarius full moon, it's like the unicorn of full moons for me. It is the best full moon because Aquarius is the quirkiest. They're the most eccentric. They wear clothes that don't match. They dance funny to music where you don't even hear what they're dancing to. You're just looking at them trying to figure out what's going on. They are partly in the knowledge that spirit is pervasive. Spirit is everywhere. And they are always in touch with that. That's really the mystical side of Aquarius. So if we line this up with our thought process, we can say, hey, okay, we're in Cancer. Now this water, shape-shifting, recognizing of shadows, seeing that dualistic energy and starting to be more in the flow of that. Tapping into the 0 point, being out in nature, right? And then honoring this Leo, this self-expression, this ambition to improve self, to be out there in the world and being who you are, because also, you know, this paradigm of you are what you do. No, man, fuck that. It's you do what you are. You do what you are. So that's the whole point. And a lot of us are understanding that. So the more we can see the dualities, sameness, that the tension actually needs to exist, and that you can laugh at it. You can work these whole 2 weeks on cultivating your quirk, because the expression of the full moon is just this Aquarian, like crazy, but in the best crazy, like fireworks crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, explode your being, explode. Just be outside, be joyful, be encouraging to others that they can do the same. Because there's too much same going on. Way too much same. And it's just, it's dulling. If the brain is already looking for familiar, and everything is the same, fuck. We're doomed. So do us a favor, and instead of being full of oneself, be full in oneself. And fool, like a fool jumping off the cliff, because they know the rest of us are down there, like, we've been waiting for you. So, have a great 2 weeks. Love you guys. So awesome.